In the match between NRG and NaVi, NRG completely flipped the script of expectations on Ascent. Ascent is traditionally a defensive-sided map. When you're on the defensive side, the goal that you generally want to hit is 8-4 at a minimum, right? You can kind of make 7-5 work, but like 8-4 is the goal. Anything more than that is great, but 8-4 is what you would call par. Now, NaVi already look to be in an incredibly strong winning position when they're able to have a 4-round streak at the end of their opening attacking half and make it a tied scoreline 6-6. And the way that they were able to do this was primarily through the abuse of B and just crashing the site over and over and over, finding an opening kill there and just pummeling onto the site, along with around 12, incredibly disrespectful, really creative, but really creative, but nonetheless disrespectful ult usage by Angel to find that opening pick onto Crashies and make it the tied scoreline. But the fact that NRG had such a good beginning to that half, it was 6-2 at one point, but then it just ends up being tied 6-6. Everyone's thinking that NaVi are going to be in the driver's seat here. They're suddenly on the favorite side. Surely, especially once they win the pistol, which happens, they're going to be able to take this one home in only a few extra rounds. As we see at the end, though, that is absolutely not the case. NRG go on a 7-round streak after the pistol and the follow-up to take this, not giving NaVi a single defensive round after those first two. So how in the world did NRG pull this one off? A bit of a spoiler here, it wasn't through any specific set plan that a coach gave them all before they entered the round. Mid-round calling from Finesse, I think, was incredibly crucial, but at the end of the day, it really just came down to NRG out-dueling NaVi. What would happen is that NRG would start this on a 1-4 setup, Finesse around mid or B with the Killjoy utility just to watch for a flank. Everyone else starting around A main. They'd throw a little bit of utility onto A, trying to find some information, perhaps trying to pull a rotate. And there were a couple of rotates from NaVi that NRG were able to abuse in those first couple of rounds. They got a nice little pick onto Shao at one point that I thought was really strong that allowed them to catapult themselves into another round win from that. But it gets to the point that NaVi stopped playing ball with the game that NRG wants them to play. And so their 3-2 setup, 3 on A, 2 on B, they just stay put in that situation and wait for the full A hit to happen before the rotation occurs. But by doing so, that opened up a huge window down mid for NRG to take. And now suddenly with control of A main as well as tree, even if there's a bit of a fight at A main, they have multiple angles that they're pushing in. And with utility splitting off garden from tree, this is where you see the NRG members really run rampant. It all starts, of course, at the very beginning with Crashies winning that 1 versus 3 to start this snowball occurring, but then you have a number of multi-kill. Victor has a 3-piece, Sam has a 3-piece, Crashies also has his own 3-piece that we mentioned before, Sam also has a 4-piece, and then Artist. 3 4Ks in this game. On one hand, that does mean that 12 of his 19 kills came from 3 specific rounds, 3 rounds of the 21 rounds played. That also shows that when Artist is on that jet and he's in a position to just take over the round, he absolutely pops off. The number of times on the attack that he is able to really abuse that angle onto tree and make sure that NaVi have an uncomfortable time rotating into heaven, if they're even able to rotate there at all, is insane. And definitely a number of rounds were won strictly through Artist's play coming in from that secondary angle, while a lot of the main forces came in from A main. And that's really what makes NRG such a scary team. At this point, they just seem like such a strong combination of tactics to get them in an advantage, but then also having the firepower to capitalize on those advantages. And that fact is illustrated the most when you look at the amount of first kills that NaVi had. On the second half of this game, NaVi had 6 first kills. 6 of 9 rounds played, they are the ones to get the first kill. And so the fact that they only won the pistol and the follow-up, weren't able to win any of the next rounds afterwards, just shows, on one hand, it does show that NaVi just weren't able to capitalize on what a big advantage a 5 versus 4 advantage is. But at the same time, you have to give props to NRG for being able to turn things around. And a lot of that does come from the mid-round calling, which is, as far as we understand, from Finesse. As well as, I'm going to reiterate, just the ability of the rest of the NRG players, Finesse or not, of being able to trade their fallen teammates as well as utilize the utility that the team has set up for them to then turn the advantage back in their way. And again, the massive amount of multi-kills that we've seen from these players to secure all of these rounds. Like NRG, there's a reason NRG keep getting celebrated, and it's because just the way that their team is set up is just looking stronger and stronger by the day. Crashies is considered by many to be the best player on this team, but when you also know that if, say, Crashies is not on his A game, you have Artist to pick up and have a number of huge rounds. You have Som, who is there to really clutch things out and honestly challenge Crashies for being the best player on this team. It's ridiculous the amount of depth that NRG have for them. And that's even before you consider the strength of calling that Finesse is bringing to this team. Remember, Finesse is such a veteran shot caller in tactical shooters. He has a lot of experience, but everyone has their sell-by date. And the fact that Finesse is continuing to perform at a high level and continuing to lead a team at such a high level at this time in his career, it's not an easy thing to do. The man is 31, for crying out loud. He's older than me. He's older than me by 1 month, but he's older than me. And when I'm 31, the fact that I'm seeing people who are my age continuing to compete at a high level, I know that the age range of esports competitors is only getting higher and higher because we're only getting more and more opportunities in tier 1 esport titles for players to continue playing and not be distracted by other responsibilities. You're seeing a bunch of Counter-Strike players, for example, have kids. Valorant, of course, is going to be lagging behind that because it's a newer game. You're not going to have nearly as many pedigreed players, but still, 31, calling at such a high level. And it's not even that he's a bad fragger as well. It's not like he's even forcing his team to 4v5 this. For this map specifically, yeah, he went 10 and 13, but that's -3. That is perfectly acceptable. So yeah, I don't think this is strictly NRG playing well, even though they are. You also have to look at NaVi for dropping the ball in a lot of certain scenarios. They had the lead coming into the half. They had the lead on a lot of those rounds in that second half, and they just weren't able to finish the job on a number of different occasions. But NRG are also continuing to look really, really strong. They've already qualified out of groups as of time of recording this video, and I think anyone who's going to be seeded against them is going to be quite worried. I am still going to give the spiritual victory to NaVi for this match just because of that one Angel ult usage. It was just absolutely disgusting. I think it's my favorite usage of an Omen ult in that I've seen in quite a while. So, you know, there's that. They get the gold star for that. If I had to throw on another conclusion to all of this, is that as much as it might seem that, oh, just click heads is the best strategy in Valorant, it's the more subtle aspects of positioning and utility usage to give your players, your teammates, or even yourself the advantage to be able to win out those duels. And that's the mark of a true world-beating team. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow along if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you all next time.